this component of the sustainability module. Sustainability isn't just about the environment, as we've covered in earlier components. In this video, I'm very pleased to be joined by Rene Stegmann from Relocation Africa to discuss why the social element of ESG is so important and powerful for the business. Rene is very widely known. I'm sure a lot of you know Rene very, very well. And Rene's carried out some really extensive and very, very interesting studies in sustainability, and I know has been at the forefront of this within our industry and within her business as well. So Rene, thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
Pleasure. It's so lovely to be here and share my learnings and my journey.
Thank you, Rene. And just to start us, I mean, could you share your thoughts on how important is the social element of ESG to a business?
Sure. So I mean, when we think about ESG as a whole, it's usually, I guess, from an investor's perspective to measure or evaluate a business. And, they're not measuring E or S or G there, or will be measuring the E, the S, and the G. So it's really part and parcel of what they will be measuring in order to sort of evaluate a business or measure the contribution towards ESG. And the social criteria really in ESG means that a business needs to examine how they manage relationships with their employees, suppliers, customers, the communities where it operates. So the social criteria, looking at the company and business relationships, there are various questions, we would go along a journey and ask ourselves just to ensure that we're sort of addressing the social elements in our business. So some of the questions we've asked ourselves would be, does Relocation Africa work with suppliers that hold the same values as we hold? And the importance of really that is both our clients and our supply base need to align with us and our values in terms of the contribution to society. And it also helps in building real, meaningful, authentic relationships. And we believe that we get the best, the assignee in their experience will get the best service. And so ultimately, that is something we looked at quite carefully. A lot of us deal with various aspects of contributing to the social element through philanthropy, through corporate social responsibility. And one of the things Relocation Africa has looked at how we can incorporate this into our business by creating social value. So what we believe is we can both not just make profit or contribute to society, we can actually make profit while contributing to society. So, this can be done through various initiatives. Philanthropy, just to give you sort of a definition, is, I guess, pure donating money to charity. Corporate social responsibility is usually getting involved with NGOs and the likes to contribute and help them in their meaningful contributions to the communities. But creating social value brings this into the business so we can create value not only to our stakeholders, but also to that social initiative. Some of the initiatives we've taken on is internships, mentorships, which are very meaningful contributions back to society in terms of how those people learn and grow and then get back into society and contribute being able to feed their families, provide for their families, and watch their careers take off from there. Other societal impacts would be, all of us have obviously gone through and walked through COVID and how we've had to adjust working conditions or working environments for COVID, and obviously ensuring our staff are considered. I think most of us have done or engaged with quite seriously. So some of those examples, the work from home or work from office flexibility or hybrid approaches often come to happy staff who then contribute more meaningfully towards the business. There's many other conditions, other examples. One example a friend of mine told me about recently was a sleep challenge that they did within their organization. So it is really trying to ensure that, the parts of their team are basically happy, relaxed, and working productively while the business really cares about their needs. The reward practices, obviously that comes to equitable pay and various other reward practices a business can consider. And one of the campaigns we ran this year, which has been very successful, was hashtag Pay in 30 campaign, which we committed as a business to pay our supply chain within 30 days. And the reason this was so important was because our supply chain are, literally living hand to mouth and required to feed families. And we felt that if we make this commitment to society, we can then move up the supply chain to our clients and engage with them on conversations around better pay practices, which directly impact society. So there are many other, I'm sure, reward practices that businesses run, but that was one particular one Relocation Africa engaged with. And probably one of our big footprint on the continent of Africa is we have many consultants all over the region. And in terms of making sure we have their interests at heart, as well as our clients' interests at heart, training is a big part of ensuring that we're all sort of singing from the same hymn sheet as such. But we do a lot of training of our consultants because, as you can imagine, bribery and corruption in Africa is very much there, and a practice that continues, and we are responsible to make sure that that is not continued practice in our business. And so we do a lot of training around that, and we're rolling out some unconscious bias training in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So there's a lot from a societal perspective that we can do in business towards ESG.
Yeah, thanks, Rene. And there's just so much that you've covered there, and thank you, because there is just so much within sustainability, just in the social side of this, and it's very impactful and powerful what you've shared. And I'm sure a lot of the bits and pieces you've shared, some people will say, well, actually, we're doing that already, or we've got plans to do this, and it's just really encouraging for people to think, actually, we're starting on the journey. Sustainability is not all about reducing the carbon footprint of mobility per se. It's such a wider topic there. Do you have an example you could share with us, related to day-to-day mobility, something that's happened in your business around the social aspect of just providing services, working with RMCs, etc.?
Yeah, sure. And it actually relates to sort of our team being extremely busy during peak seasons, and we wanted to analyze and really understand what was keeping them so busy. They were stressed at work, they were not coping, and we looked at the process flow in terms of understanding the full cycle of the relocation process, and we really tried to ensure that we had efficiencies put in place. And when we analyzed that and really pulled it apart and stuck it back together, we found that there was very little we could change in terms of our business processes. So we then analyzed what, in terms of billable and unbillable contributions the team was making, and we found there was a huge amount of unbillable reporting that our RMC clients mainly were requesting of us. And so here we talk about the really great partnership we have with some RMCs. Grable in particular was this case. And we had calculated our weekly, monthly, and quarterly reporting was taking 15 hours a month for our team, which essentially is unbillable time, and it was obviously a heavy burden. And what the team was noticing is that there weren't a lot of engagement on the reporting. So they felt that some of the reporting perhaps not valuable to the team that was looking at it. So we picked up the phone to our Grable people, and we just had a conversation about what we were trying to do, create efficiencies, create a better work environment for our team. And they took it back very well and did a critical analysis of the reporting. And we are now only spending 4 hours a month on reporting for Grable. And so we found 11 hours of time which our team can use much more productively in terms of billable time. So we've also had another example with another RMC. We found that they were asking for reports as well as a dashboard call. And so we found that every time we got to the dashboard call, they hadn't read the report we sent them. So there were 3 or 4 members of our team on that dashboard call for 1 hour. And so we wrote back to that particular RMC and said, look, we're trying to find efficiencies. If you feel that there is anything missing from the report, please could you then set up a dashboard call for clarification purposes only. And we've changed the that 1 hour call per month to once a quarter. And so that's been really good in terms of time, efficiencies created.
I love that, Rene. I mean, it's so powerful, and it's a challenge all of us who've been in the industry for many years, we have, and often it starts with global mobility, potentially that under a lot of pressure, the business asks them the question, perhaps it's not clarified, and they just ask some questions to the RMC don't perhaps qualify them, or perhaps global mobility won't let them do this, and the questions come down and the reporting gets expanded, and we all end up with sometimes some crazy reports. But you're right, I mean, this actually has a huge social impact, and ultimately global mobility, and all of us, that we've got one key objective: get that employee from A to B as easily and as painlessly as possible. And all this is really taking all of our time away from that main objective, and the pressure it puts on everybody.
And I think, the team is, pressured to do these reports as opposed to spending more time counseling or spending time with those assignees, which is really what they're employed to do. And so it does take their focus away from what essentially could contribute to better employee motivation and engagement with their assignees, which I'm sure RMCs would much prefer us to be doing.
And another thing that I'm just picking up from what you've said there, Rene, is basically collaboration and open dialogue. And, whenever you listen to anybody talk about sustainability, or you do any studies, one of the key themes is about collaboration between different parties, different levels, understanding. And to me, that's one of the powerful things you've shared here as well, is for all of us in the industry. Don't be afraid, open up those conversations. If you're a DSP or a household goods provider with the RMC, or direct with your clients, but also the RMCs, I think they need to, have more conversations perhaps with the client. But, really, if there's any global mobility people out there, do implore you just to take a moment, understand the challenges of mobility, and just be mindful of what you ask for. If somebody comes back, do listen to the considerations, because we all do in mobility spend a huge amount of time not on that main objective, as you were saying, Rene. It's just all the administration, all the reporting, etc., etc. So I love what you shared there.
Yeah, I think collaboration is key. If you ultimately want the best result for the client, which is, I'm sure, what everybody wants, I think listening to a DSP who essentially is the boots on the ground, collaborating with an RMC who perhaps is closer to the client needs, it makes so much sense to collaborate really closely and understand and listen. But I think, the industry hasn't allowed some of that, and there will be some shortfalls. So certainly I encourage collaboration and better relationship building.
No, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts today, Rene. And are there any final thoughts that you'd like to leave us with?
Paul, this is a massive topic, and I mean, it would be sort of remiss of us to think that we've covered anything substantial here, but we certainly want people to start investigating, educating themselves on all aspects of sustainability. I personally refer consistently to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. And if you actually break them up into the societal and the environment, obviously there are others, but there are actually 10 of the SDGs that refer to the societal or social matters, and only 4 that refer to the environment. And I think from a global mobility perspective, we can impact society and social matters much more than we can impact pure the environment as such, because a lot of the people from a DSP perspective don't necessarily have trucks, so we would be better placed to focus on perhaps some of the social impacts that we can tackle easily. And no matter how big or small any of our businesses are, we can all engage and impact change. So that is my final thought.
Rene, thank you so much. And, I do agree with you there. And, it's not all about the environment. At the moment, the focus is on CO2 very much and the reduction. But I do think everybody is very best placed to start looking at the SDGs and just map their actions to them and feel good about these actions. And I think the next wave, big corporations will be looking further down the list of the SDGs, and companies that are prepared, they've taken good actions, will actually be in a really good place to actually show value to these big corporations and feel good, about what everybody's doing. Absolutely.
I think, someone said the other day is, I'm in the DSP space and I don't know what value I can add. And I just said to them, you've got to just educate yourself and start the process, because it is a journey, and there's no miracle cure for this. It's something we all need to educate, understand, and follow a journey which will and collaborate with others who are doing things which could benefit each one of us by joining forces to make an impact.
Thank you so much, Rene. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching this video within the sustainability component. Thank you. Thanks, Rene. Have a great day.
Take care. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.